Okay, so we can just go. So this video is kind of like all over the place a little bit because I already tried like recording
Previously on Logs Ball.
Okay, so testing. A video shooting. I actually shot like almost 50 minutes of video here at this location. Maybe the frame was a little bit different, but it didn't go so well because something happened with the receiver and the mic, and there was just a sound from the phone, and it was very like windy, and the cars, the road is nearby, so the cars are like honking, and like the sound of just the highway, I guess. Altogether, it was just a horrible experience. But I'm not into habit of recording videos, basically. So I'm just trying to figure this out, and that's the reason why, for example, I can record like 40 minutes of video without checking if everything is working. Now I understand that it's much better to just record in chunks, maybe a little bit, and then edit it all together. But you live and you learn. So yeah, that's the point that I'm trying to make here. Anyway, this is the topic of this video will be definitely Manchester United and the end of the season in England and everything that happened there. Basically, there are, I think, this week now. Today's like 25th of May, and like previous week, it was so eventful. So many things happened actually last week, because let me just list all the things, because I had my note with me, but that's why it's such a weird day, because I wanted to take one jacket and then I realized it will be too warm, and I took another jacket, but the note I already left in the pocket of the other jacket, and so now I'm without the note. And on this note I had all the names of midfielders, the transfer targets like that we are linked to, and now I just gotta like pull them from my head, but I don't think it's such a big deal. I think I'm gonna manage actually. So let's start. Like, what are the things that I wanted to talk about today? Today already we can say that the season is officially over in England. Yesterday they played the last tour, the last round tour, like whatever you want to call it. All the games obviously started at the same time. I mean, if you follow English football, you already know that. But also, I think it's in other leagues, I think they're doing it the same way, because some results, they can affect the trajectory for the next season and the future of teams. And let's definitely mention Wolverhampton. We already knew that they're gonna get relegated, so long. Along with them goes West Ham, and unfortunately I don't have the information with me right now. And the other team that is getting relegated, I'm just going to add it somewhere like on the screen. It will just appear when I'm going to edit the video. But let's talk about West Ham a little bit more, right? So the team, they got relegated. Tottenham saved themselves, but West Ham, they're going down. And I'm looking at the player. There is one interesting player in the West Ham squad. His name is Mateus Fernandes, and I'm thinking about this guy, not in any kind of like special way, but I'm thinking about this guy. He is special though. I think he's a special player, and I'm thinking like, is this our target? Like, is this guy is the future of Man United midfield? And answering this question, I personally would definitely say yes, because I think this is the type of player that we actually need, like not desperately, but we actually need this type of player in our squad. What are his strong suits? He's definitely very like mobile, active, moderately aggressive, I would say, and he has the passing range, I would say, and he loves to join players in the attack. So in this case, he will be a little bit similar to Bruno Fernandes, but he's so young. Matheus Fernandes is so young, and he's also linked to PSG. And if you watch his highlights right now, if you just go and click the link and you will watch his highlights, you will have this feeling almost, or like weird sensation that it's like, why he's playing in West Ham shirt, he should be playing in PSG shirt, you know? Like, why he's playing in this, like, what's the color? It's like burgundy red shirt. He should be playing in navy color shirt, in PSG shirt, because, come on, the way he moves, the way he's so technical with the ball, like all this stuff, I think it kind of makes him a PSG player, low-key. And I think Manchester United would benefit immensely if we're going to sign this player, because we don't really have this kind of like history in our club of buying players with this type of profile, and I think we definitely should change that. Maybe this is the summer that we change that, I think. So already, as you understand, I'm gonna speak about not just the end of Premier League, not just about the champions and about the coaches that are leaving, the coaches that are coming. I'm talking about Xabi Alonso, of course, and Chelsea's situation, and I'm obviously also talking about Pep. 10 years over. So his 10 years are done in Manchester. I watched his speech and it felt a little bit kind of rushed and weird, and the whole thing with this on Daily Mail, I think it was already an article last week, he was moving out of his apartment, and there were some pictures of him, etc. I mean, this whole season for Pep specifically, I think it was all over the place. So you got his honorary something. Did he get an honorary degree or something? Anyway, he definitely one thing that he definitely got is that speech, right? He got 2 cups also, 2 domestic cups. I think he took them home. He brought them home. He got a stand named after him. And also, obviously, he supported publicly Palestine, which was very, I mean, I wouldn't say it was surprising. I think there's something about Barcelona, there's something about this region and this kind of like its own relationship with the rest of Spain, with Madrid, with the capital. And then you have a lot of people there who are sympathizing with the Gaza and stuff, which was kind of interesting. I would say that it translates into football, and it translates into all those teams that are owned by, let's say, sheikhs, right? So I think for those clubs, it's definitely like, I wouldn't say it's like a must or it's a part of the agenda, but I would definitely say that it's kind of easy to be a head coach of club that is owned by sheikhs and Saudis, and just kind of like publicly support Palestine and Gaza. So anyway, a little bit of politics. He kind of decided to bring it into football, and I say my guess is that no one likes politics in football. In England, I don't think they like politics in football, but he brought it, and the also charges that were against Manchester City and all those things. I think it's a little bit kind of annoyed and triggered maybe Premier League officials and stuff. We will never know anything about this, but my guess is that, imagine if you go to court as a league, you go to court with a suing, basically like charging the club that is a part of your league organization, and the club basically wins in court. So I think this is a little bit kind of, I don't know how to say that. They were able to gather the best legal defense, I guess. I'm talking about City. And they were able either to win it or just to kind of like drag it out and postpone the final decision or something like this. But anyway, it was very interesting. This like a little bit, I don't think it's a little bit, because a lot of people, they were kind of like, building on this on those little instances and those little things, and they were building full-blown conspiracy theories about the fact that Arsenal. There's a video somewhere on YouTube. The guy made a video like listing one by one all the shady like moments in Arsenal games where they should have been, where the players should have been given red cards, or the opposition should have been given penalties against Arsenal and stuff. And I just have one instance of that, like when they were playing Manchester United. Obviously, like the fact how Arsenal brought this new like trend. They created this new trend of attacking corners and defending corners. Also, it's a mess basically in the box, and they were the trendsetters, I would say. And obviously their players, I mean Gabriel and Saliba, of course they were following even other players obviously who were defending corners and were attacking in corners. Of course they were following keepers, they were following defenders, they were following opposition players. But in some games the whistles were given, in some games they weren't. Like against Manchester United, I know definitely in my opinion there was a foul against us, but no one actually did anything about that. But Arsenal, were winning in similar episodes. Like, so people who were responsible for these conspiracy theories, they were basically saying that Arsenal, they they had some help. Let's put it that way. Personally, I don't really. I'm talking about it, but I'm not really entertaining it from the point that I don't really care if even they got helped. Still, they are a beatable team, and still, if the opposition, if the challenge, if the competitors, they were more, let's say, adept or more ready for this race, I think Arsenal would have never lifted the trophy. But they did. Congratulations to them, because they were waiting for so long. There is some inspiration, of course, to take from this victory, and I think this is the story about maybe like what they were keep trying, right? They were keep pushing with a little bit of improvement. Sometimes you would say that this improvement, it was kind of invisible, but this season, I think previous season, they definitely spent some money, and they really strengthened their squad. And I think that's why one of the reasons why they were able to go through this season so relatively smooth. The bench is the reason for that, because the amount of players, I wouldn't say they're all like super duper quality players, and I wouldn't even say I want any of those players in Manchester United, maybe apart from selected few. But in general, I'm not really impressed by Arsenal team in terms of names of players and in terms of their performances on the pitch. However, the average level of their quality, it kind of matches the project that they're going for and that they have built. And that's why I think it's so easy for them to interchange and rotate those players and get the same results basically. So that's the point. I think that they got it definitely. And just the fact that they were memes, right? People were laughing at Arsenal, and some people were still to the last very few couple of games sure that they will never get this trophy, and they did. And imagine like the energy for them that it accumulates this victory. I wouldn't say this type of energy will win them UCL because they are going against PSG, which is a team that will give them a really tough time. Especially like the attack of PSG, it will give Arsenal defenders a very tough time, because against Bayern, you would say that it would have been easier for Arsenal defenders to defend, because Bayern attack, it's not that fluid, I would say, right? A lot of people were mentioning this, and Bayern attack, it's more kind of predictable. So you know what those wingers they are going to do. They are going to just like move centrally, and they will look for the opportunity to score a goal probably. And with PSG, those players, they can do just anything, and they can also like change positions, and they are able to create something out of nothing also, which is a big point. And in general, I think PSG attack, it's more just explosive and aggressive. and that's why this sort of like aggression, maybe in Bayern only Luis Diaz can match this aggression, because you definitely say that Olise, he's very he has his style of play. I would compare Olise a little bit, not in terms of hype or technical ability, but in terms of attitude, I would say it's similar to Xerxes type player, because Xerxes, he doesn't have an aggressive style of football. He's very like kind of lazy, sort of very aesthetic with the ball. And Olise, he's also very aesthetic, and it looks like he's not trying too hard, like he's just like doing it, right? So that's how it feels like watching those players. But regardless, and in PSG, Douye and Kvara, obviously, and Dembele, I think they're more explosive and they're more aggressive. And I would say Kvara is like just the most aggressive like unit that they have there, and he will definitely be a problem for this Arsenal defense, in my opinion. Whoever is going to defend him or like mark him or whatever, play with him, it will be tough time for them. But anyway, this game will be on Saturday, so I think 6 or 5 days apart from now. And Arsenal are the champions. I haven't seen how they lifted the trophy. I haven't seen any speeches, anything. I was only maybe watching a little bit of press conference here and there when they were I don't know, when they were playing City, when they lost to City, and also when they were playing Sporting in the Champions League. I was curious to hear what Arteta says in press conferences. In my opinion, he's a little bit similar to Carrick. I heard both versions. Let me say Carrick, okay? Like American style. Yeah, and I think they're a little bit similar in terms of press conferences, because Carrick, he's not really giving much to the journalists. He's just being there and he's just answering the questions. He's very polite, very cordial, but he's not giving you anything. In my opinion, he's not giving you anything. Yes, he's answering the questions. He's saying obviously a lot of times, which is a very British thing to do. And he's not revealing nothing, like no secrets, no even like... It's really even difficult to pick up his kind of like own state in terms of emotions and in terms of opinions, in terms of his preferences. It's like, it's almost, she's just like playing poker or something like this, you know? In my opinion, it's a great thing, especially combined with the fact that he's able to deliver the results. And also it's great in contrast to previous coach, because he was just making almost every press conference, it was like there was a sound bite, there was something there was a highlight, he was answering questions too in depth, like he was revealing a lot of information that he shouldn't have revealed, in my opinion, like, and that's why it was a little bit frustrating also. But anyway, maybe there should be another separate video just on Amorim and his tenure, but right now let's not waste time. Let's talk about what else happened. Like Xabi Alonso, he went to Chelsea, which in my opinion is very surprising, because I think if any type of club in England, maybe who needs Xabi Alonso more than Liverpool, in my opinion? They already bought like a bunch of players from his previous team from Germany, and also he was playing actually for this club. He was playing for Liverpool, but he never played for Chelsea. And the fact that they just like got this coach, good move for Chelsea. It's not a guarantee that he will get them out of this weird situation that they find themselves in. However, there is a chance that they will make it actually, and he will figure it out. But still, in my opinion, this type of coach, he should have went to Liverpool, just because it makes much more sense. But Liverpool, they're kind of like in a trap of this Arne Slot trap, because they cannot get rid of him, or maybe they don't want to get rid of him. In my opinion, they should have, because basically the guy is not really doing much. I'm not watching Liverpool every week, and but the signs are not there in my opinion. The fact that they're going to get rid of some of the players for the next season and clear out the squad, will it help him? Like, it will remove the tension probably, but I don't know. I'm not sure that this tension was the reason for them not to play so well like this season. And I'm not sure it was because of the tension between slot owners and Salah. I don't think that was the reason. I think they just cannot find their game, and maybe he's not able, like just like Ten Hag wasn't able to implement his style of play to Premier League, but maybe Slot, he still tries to do that, and obviously he had a great football heritage. Club gave him basically a champion team, and that's why he was able, so without any issues, to win. Like it almost was like inertia or something like this, right? So even though like they they took the foot off gas, the car was still moving, and they were still able to finish the season on the first place. Okay, so but now we obviously see that there are some kind of issues there, right? They're in a team, there are difficulties. Will they be able to solve them in the next season with the same coach? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, will Xabi Alonso also be a success for Chelsea? I'm not sure. We'll see. So that's like already two teams which are like top 4 teams. I mean the OG top 4, let's call it like this. And they already, like, we can put question mark, right? Beside them for the next season. And then we have Arsenal, right? So is there a question mark there? I don't think there is a question mark. I think they will perform, because one thing you cannot deny Arsenal is that they're pretty stable. They were stable with taking a second place, but now they actually won a title, right? So, but still they're keeping themselves in the top 4 consistently for this how many years. And I don't think it will change next season. They definitely keep the same coach. They will keep the same players. They will remove some players. Maybe they will upgrade. But in general, the style of play, it will not change, right? So the way Arsenal just goes about their business, it will not change. So also the question arises, what about their style of play, and like, is it sufficient enough? Is it convincing enough? Is it like definitely you watch them play and you say, oh my goodness, these are the champions, you know? It's like a champion style of football. I'm not really sure, honestly. I just think that this season Arsenal, they used their opportunity and they pushed a little bit more, of course, right? And they improved also their squad. However, I don't think they were given enough of a fight by other teams, and only maybe we were able to kind of give them a really tough time, because even the first game of the season, which was for us at home, we were great there, even though it was Amarim's time, and the issues came later. But in that game, even though we lost this game 1-0, we were a better team, and I think everyone remembers that game. We couldn't score, but we kind of dominated them, and we played better football. But the next game in the Premier League, we went to Emirates and we beat them. And it was the type of victory, like, it was not necessarily because we just had better squad, technically better players, or because like we were just like a bigger, more confident. Maybe that was the reason. Like we were like just a better informed team or something like this. I wouldn't say so necessarily. I think it's just like we were able to push further. We were able to take one step and then another step and then the third step. We were able to. There was a room for us to improve, and that's the with some teams. That's like the marker, I guess. Like just the desire to win. Like you gotta have this desire to win any type of game. Regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the fact how this game unfolds. And it feels like Arsenal, I don't know, something just like tells me that the type of, oh my goodness, something just tells me that the type of like team they are and the type of coach that they have, I think they're really more into trying to prepare themselves for the games, for the specific game. But also, I think the type of football that they're playing, it's something like, I don't think they're really ready for some kind of unexpected situations in games, where I don't think they're ready to just like go extra mile, to do some kind of like crazy U-turn during the game. And I don't think they're really able to push to themselves to the limit almost. What they're good at is just like those little kind of like things, like those little kind of weird things in football that some players they use it, some teams they use it, and Arsenal definitely they also use it, like wasting time sometimes, like faking kind of like an injury, or falling, or like doing these dark cards, or being just a nasty like team to play against, like, and being also very defensive. Like all those things, they're definitely like a marker of this Arsenal. Like those are the features of this Arsenal team. But very rarely I was convinced by their performance, like that they're the champions, this year at least. Because from my experience watching football, you just can't spot like champion kind of like teams, because it's definitely something in their style of play, and it's just the ability to adapt also, right? And its ability to dominate and to push themselves and to just go for goals, without trying to save I don't know how to say, energy, or maybe sit back, or maybe try to like win 1-0, or just by defending or something like this. I don't know, maybe it's just not the type of football personally that I appreciate, but also at the same time maybe it's just because it is what it is actually, like, and Arsenal are not really that hungry attacking like front foot team that are just always going for goals, like, and they will just like score and dominate the oppositions. I don't think it's their type of football. Well, anyway, too much about Arsenal and too little about Man United. So now let's just talk about Man United. I mean, also honorary mention to De Zerbi, because he came late to Tottenham, and I think he contributed to their to the fact that they're saved themselves, and they are still next season they're gonna start in Premier League. It's gonna be interesting to see what type of game playing style De Zerbi will implement in Tottenham. I think they were very difficult to play against when he was in Brighton, but now I guess I don't know, when I read something about Brighton and about their coach, this new coach Fabian Hurlitzer, I think his surname is. So I was surprised by the fact that this guy is super young, but also he was very kind of like, it was difficult to play against them when his first season, maybe second season, but this time I think we changed. I think that's like a marker for Manchester United. We're playing Brighton away and we just 3-0. And it's hard to say that they were close to the goal. Like, they had chances, but those were like shots, and those were like sometimes kind of individual kind of brilliance of players. It wasn't something like, they just outdone us like in the midfield and just like created mad chances. It wasn't like that at all, and that's something that is very surprising in my opinion. Not surprising, but it's, first of all, it's good to see. Surprising because we had so many years and games, like tough games against them, not being able to dominate or just to win. And maybe it's a marker now that we're able to do that, that something changed actually in Man United. I mean, obviously something changed. We have Michael Carrick now as like a full-time manager, 2-year contract. They got to give him the summer. Everyone is waiting for good summer. Some people are crashing out over Ederson. That's why it's like a first player that he's hot right now in terms of links, like why he's the first one. But in my opinion, we shouldn't be super emotional we should be demanding, but we shouldn't be emotional, because first of all, it's not even June yet, right? So there are like maybe 5 days till June, 6 days till June. So obviously, if with Premier League, sometimes it's difficult to strike deals with those clubs. The example is just like last summer situation with Mbomo. If you remember, for how long we've been waiting for him, we already kind of knew that he agreed terms, personal terms, but there was something with the club, and it was so slow. It was moving so slow, and I think we were kind of already like lost the excitement about this move, because it was like dragging for so long. I wouldn't necessarily say that something will be different this time around, because most of the players that we're linked to, they're Premier League players, even though they're not World Cup players for national teams, except with exception for Elliot Anderson. But I don't know, and Alex Scott. But Alex Scott, he's not like in the final, I think, list. Also, another topic is Tuchel's choice for the World Cup for England. I mean, the guy chose the players that he wanted to choose, right? At the end of the day, obviously, England being a country where they have a culture of just conversation, and they have a culture of debate. Obviously, everyone got on his back, like, what the hell did you do, Thomas? Who did you bring? Why did you miss out on Cole Palmer? Why did you left out Phil Foden? Why did you leave out Lewis Hall? Some of those names, like Lewis Hall, probably, like, I have no idea why he's not there. With other players, I guess I can explain it. Like, I'm not trying to get inside the mind of Thomas Tuchel, because it's like, I don't want to go there. But in my opinion, he just picked the players, first of all, who he thinks will do the job for him, personally. And also, he said it himself, he wants to balance team. Maybe he wants players who are more like, kind of like aligned to him or with him, character-wise. Maybe there are some players who are like, what's the word for this? They are disruptors, like Cole Palmer, for example. You would look at this guy, you would think he's a disruptor, because he's very like, he has his own kind of like, some people say borderline autistic style of conducting himself and just behaving. There is a player there, obviously, player who can change games, in my opinion, but he had not such a great time this season in Chelsea. So why he should be in the squad? He's not a veteran player who's like a legend, like Neymar, for example. So the reason for him to be there, just because he's Cole Palmer and he do the freezing celebration, I don't know. It would have been amazing, of course, to see the freezing celebration like in the United States, somewhere in Kansas or Texas or something like this, but because it will be so hot there, right? But at the end of the day, it's like he picked who he picked. But I mean, he had to give a press conference half an hour. I think he was answering questions. Some of those questions were just completely the same, and he had to explain his choice, which is like so frustrating. Like, because they kind of brought him. He was not the obvious choice for this job, but they brought him. So let him work then, like, let him cook, right? And then see like what it's gonna lead to. And after the fact, you can say that, you know what, you kind of made a mistake or whatever. Personally, I have no expectations from England. I think it's such a weird national team. I haven't remembered them playing a really convincing, well, kind of like good-looking, aesthetic football in a long time. Their relative success with the previous coach, but is undeniable. But the style of play, I think it was very it was not appealing, let's call it like this. It was kind of boring. Let's just flat out say it. It's a boring type of football, and in my opinion, nothing will change in England right now with this coach. It will be still pretty boring football to watch. So that's why I'm not going to be excited about England. Maybe they're going to win the tournament, but in this case it would be like a genius of Tuchel, maybe kind of also sequence of coincidences on the way to the title, but I don't know. So Elliot Anderson, he is the only, I guess, player who is named, who is linked to Man United and who is going to the World Cup. But the thing with Elliot Anderson, even if the City interest will cool down and they, for example, will go for Enzo Hernandez from Chelsea, still I don't see Elliot Anderson at Man United playing with Kobe, and I want to see Kobe start as many games as possible because he needs to grow as a player and he needs to play for us because he loves the club. Fans love him absolutely. It's my best player, my favorite player probably in Man United. So I think we got to use him in all of the games. But if you bring Anderson, you already maybe saw how they play together in England against Japan. I think it was. I was not impressed at all. I thought it was like weird duo. Actually, like it's a weird partnership in my opinion because they're similar type players. Maybe Kobe is less attack, kind of like oriented. Specifically right now with Man United, like those kind of like this pivot that he played with Casemiro. Casemiro was definitely the player who was distributing the ball and like trying to push for attacking pass, but Kobe was more of a box to box, I guess, and he was deeper than Casemiro inside sometimes. But Kobe is physical. Elliot Anderson is also kind of he's physical. He's also attack minded and he wants to be in attack. Like look at the way he plays for Nottingham Forest. He's basically everywhere in the pitch and he's doing the Bruno basically for Nottingham Forest. He's doing the assists, he's scoring goals, and he's being there close to the opposition box. So I don't understand how this player and why they should be playing together, Kobbie Mainoo and Elliot Anderson. I don't understand this. I don't think we need Elliot Anderson. I would go for Adam Wharton actually. I'm not sure if Liverpool are already like kind of it's a done deal for Liverpool. I only recently heard that that's actually the plan for Liverpool to sign him because the links were there, I think, in winter and throughout the season that he's scouted by, he's looked at by Manchester United. And I think this is the player that Manchester United needs because he's a deep lane midfielder and he's good with his passing range is amazing. His pace of play is great because it's very chill. It's not super explosive. And I think we need this type of calmness and stability in our midfield. And we don't need necessarily some kind of crazy bozo, explosive, aggressive player who's just going to be everywhere. I think we need more of a distributor. We need a Carrick type midfielder. We also need options. That's why Matheus Fernandes, I think he should be there because he's like sort of the opposite of that calm, and we need that also. But I'm thinking about Adam Wharton. That would be amazing to sign him. Carlos Baleba, who was subbed in this last game versus Brighton. I haven't seen him doing something extraordinary, but people say and everyone agrees that his previous season at Brighton, it was outstanding. And he was the Adam Wharton basically. This season's Adam Wharton is last season's Carlos Baleba. I don't know. He's so young. Definitely there is some instability with young players. Like Kobe also had that time after the Euros, I think, where he was, I don't know, it was weird. He was wearing those I think he got Calvin Klein sponsorship or something like this, a deal. And I remember he was playing, it was one of the first games after the Euros, still I think with Ten Hag, and he got the braids, I think also. Not the braids, but he got the dreads, and he was tackled. And he fell to the ground, and he looked so weird because he looked so out of place after those Euros. And then the Amorim came, and he obviously was benched, and he got buffer, right? He got some muscle. He got his buzz cut, he appeared in a squad. He scored a couple of goals, like he scored against Lyon, but then he was benched again, and he was basically, at that second time, it was like gulag for him. Something went south. But now he's back. I think Amorim kind of helped him with the physique. Maybe not directly helped, but at the end, that's how it looks like. Because the way how Kalbi plays right now, he definitely likes to be physical. And he likes to push and like do kind of shoulder against other players, and I think it kind of helped him in hindsight. But anyway, so I'm also thinking about this Ederson move, and to be honest, I want to be chill about this. I don't want to do knee-jerk reaction, because I know that other signings are coming, and I think we might be surprised. If Ederson definitely is the easiest deal, right, and we're gonna bring him in, and the money is not that, it's not a crazy price, it's a good price for this type of midfielder. We need squad players, right, and we need Ederson. I think he's an upgrade on Ugarte. Is he an upgrade on Mount? I'm not really sure, because Mount actually was decent against Brighton, but he was trash against Sunderland, right? It was the previous game, like when he played against Shaka, and I think that was not good. But maybe he can be actually this kind of emergency midfielder, Mount, like, because from what I understand, like, my whole point, and the point that I was mentioning, so my whole point, and the point that I was mentioning in the previous video, that is that you gotta look at everything for like it is. Like, you gotta see things at their face value, and you cannot expect, for example, something from Mount that he cannot give you, right? So, but we can definitely be realistic in our assessment of Mason Mount and his player profile, and I would say that he's definitely a little bit of everything type player. He can give you a little bit of everything, right? He can score a goal, he can give you a pass here and there, he can even tackle, he can like press, right? He can be box to box, I guess. He can play on a wing, he can play at 10. He was playing like a shadow striker, I think, also a little bit. Anyway, Amorim loved him, right? And Amorim loved him because he is this type of player who you can like you can plug any type of hole that you have in the team kind of temporarily. You can just use Mason Mount and he will do the job. And maybe this is that's him. And do we need this type of player? Of course, yes. Should this type of player wear number 7 shirt? Absolutely not. Should he be on this type of wages? I don't think so. Honestly, those are the frustrating things, because people who are criticizing Mount, some of them, they just have bias, but some of them are absolutely legitimately, and I mean rightly so, saying that how the hell he's wearing 7 and why he's earning that much money if he's not even playing. Every other week he was not playing, right? So I don't understand this, and he's not the type of guy who will go for a pay cut like Maguire did, for example, right? Because he doesn't need to do that, but also I don't think he's the type of character who would do that. And for me it's frustrating a little bit, like, because nothing will be actually done about this. I think he will be with us next season, and obviously nothing will change. Like, his wages will remain the same, and the shirt will also, he will keep the 7 shirt, which is, I never actually understood that. I have no idea who actually gave him this shirt. Like, did he take it himself? I don't understand. It's everything is so frustrating. But anyway, what are the other players that we're linked to? Two of Newcastle players is Bruno Guimaraes and Sandro Tonali. Out of them two, right now I'm conflicted, because Sandro Tonali, he looks very chill and he's box to box. I don't think he's specialist in anything, and he's definitely He can score a goal and he can whip across, right? And he can take a corner, but I don't know. Maybe definitely it would be great again, just like Ederson. It would be great to have this type of player, and I think they're a little bit similar in terms of their playing style with Ederson. But I think Tonali probably he's more maybe not reliable. How to say it? Maybe he's more stable. I would say like this. That's why he may be also a little bit more boring. But maybe definitely we need this type of player, right? So will we sign him? I'm not sure, because in Newcastle also there is Lewis Hall and there is Bruno Guimaraes. I don't think we can sign 3 players. I don't think we can sign even 2 players from Newcastle in one window. I think it will be only 1 player, if it will be. And Bruno G, he's like he has this passion merchant thing going on, but he is legit. Like he can be a threat for the opposition, and he loves attacking, in my opinion, just by watching his highlights. His attacking contribution is undeniable, but he doesn't really add anything in the middle of the park, in my opinion. That's why Tonali probably should be a priority, if we're being realistic. Even though he's a little bit boring to watch, but it's kind of like, maybe it's this good type of boring, you know? You put Tonali there, and you give Manu a little bit more of freedom to, you know, move with the ball closer to the opposition box and attack. And I think it might be super nice. João Gomes, that's a Wolverhampton, another player who got relegated. But from what I understand, he's moving to Atletico Madrid. Haram team. I absolutely... I made a decision never ever to watch Atletico Madrid game. Maybe we're gonna play them next season in Champions League. That's the only way I'm watching Atletico Madrid. I remember the times when I was even sympathizing with this team and with this coach when they were playing 2 finals against Real Madrid, I think, in UCL. It was mid-2010s. And I was thinking, like, come on, guys. I mean, they're underdogs. And they had this, like, kind of all this thing going for them. Like, you know, people were rooting for them because they wanted to beat Madrid and a richer, bigger club. And you have this Atletico, and they're playing this kind of very... kind of like, now you call it just haram ball, but back in the day it was something like new style of football. They're defending together and they're like moving aggressively, they're doing the pressing and they just like counter-attacking, like, and it's like they're a fortress, basically moving fortress, sound like this. And right now this season in UCL, I like these 2 games vs Arsenal and that game against Barca. They gave the game of the season against Barca, they beat them, and then they fumbled against Arsenal, and it was so frustrating to watch, because Arsenal versus Barcelona, it would have been such an entertaining game. But Madrid, they just, people say, stunk out the place, and it was absolutely it was so painful to watch, and it was so boring, and it was so like uninspiring. And it's just like some games you watch and they give you like aura, they give you energy, they give you life, and some games you watch and they like suck life out of you and they just like drain you. And there was this type of game, and I just promised myself not to watch Atletico Madrid ever again. I don't want to watch them. I don't understand these teams that turn up for one game, like against this kind of like opposition that is definitely better than them. They give the match of a century, and then they just like, it's all downhill from there, and they just fumble every other game after that, and they give nothing. And their stars, they give you nothing. It's like everything just like lights went off and whatever, and the premise is closed. So it's like the house got evicted, like there is no one there anymore. That's it. And so whatever. So João Gomes is going to Atletico Madrid, from what I understand. I mean, Godspeed. Watching him, he's definitely the type of player Atletico Madrid will go for. I think he's raw and unfinished product, like similar to Alex Scott, I would say. Both of those players look right now that they're still too raw to kind of, it's not their final form. Elliot Anderson, you can argue that it's his final form. He will just maybe become even better in reading of the game and in those components that he has in his style of play. Maybe he'll just improve, and that's the type of player. But already you watch Elliot Anderson right now, you can see that this is like almost a finished product. With Kobe, there's a similar feeling because he's very like technical, and you kind of already know what he's going to do, and there is room to grow, but again, he will just like build on those things that are already there. But with João Gomes, watching his highlights also, it was so frustrating because like it was a snooze fest first of all, and also it was a little bit like there was this feeling like this guy probably has something else to offer you, but you gotta wait, or you just gotta give him more game time, or he has to gain more experience. Maybe he will blossom later in his career. But anyway, that's the feeling that I got from Alex Scott and from João Gomes. So anyway, I don't think these players will be in Man United next season, so whatever. Tchouaméni, Camavinga, those two Real Madrid players, I would say Camavinga has more chances maybe of leaving, because just purely because of the fact that he's kind of like, from what I'm saying, he's injury prone. And also, who will Jose prefer in Madrid, right, next season? I think Tchouaméni is going to be there still. I don't think character-wise he's the type of Mourinho player, but at the same time, we don't know. We got to see. But I don't think he will leave, because why would you let him go as a Madrid coach, this type of player? You would try to work with him first, and then maybe you should make a decision. But right off the bat, same summer that you join the team, in the same summer you make him leave, like you let him go, it doesn't make any sense, in my opinion. So I don't think we take in any of those players. I think those are kind of like just links, because Madrid was on this PR run with this Fight Club plot and all this other stuff like dictatorship there and the Fight Club at the same time. So yeah, I think it's just because Madrid was all over the place in the media, and during that time, like probably they were linking all of the players who were involved in this to other clubs, and we obviously were linked because we were looking for a midfielder. So anyway, what else happened? Maybe there is other name that I'm missing out on, but I think I mentioned those probably are the ones that I would want to see in the team. It's Adam Wharton, it's Carlos Baliba, Sandro Tonali, I don't mind Ederson, and Mateus Fernandes. Those are the players that I want to see at Man United. Obviously, we're not going to get all of them, but I think we should definitely push for at least 3 of those players, and that would be a good window. What else happened? Casemiro had his last game, and he didn't play against Brighton. I mean, what a player. This whole thing, actually, like this whole last game, home game at Old Trafford, it was really good vibes, especially after the game and the speeches that Bruno gave the speech, I think, and Carrick gave the speech. I think it was very wholesome, and the vibe was so good. Compared to the city, I think there is still something like, I don't want to call it a soul, but in Manchester United, maybe there is more culture there, or maybe there is just more history of competing and of like supporting like your club to the fullest, you know. So definitely, I think we have more active fans, and our fans are more maybe devoted and invested in the club than Manchester City fans, because their farewell to Pep, this whole thing video that I watched, it felt weird, probably because just Pep made it weird, because he was kind of eccentric, he was nervous, his a voice was kind of shaking, and he was like also doing like moving mad, like, but it's just his style. Like in press conferences, he's the same. Honestly, Pep is such a character. Undeniably, he's some people call him genius. I would say he's just like a definitely outstanding coach. Absolutely. In the history of football, I mean, outstanding coach, not just like for the past something. But at the same time, what is the Pep's legacy in Manchester City? Unfortunately, I think it will be a mixed legacy, just because in England there is I wouldn't say people are hating on Manchester City, but when you watch pundits, right? Or when you watch like Talksport, and when you watch like Simon Jordan or like some other pundits, and when they're openly saying every time that they're rooting for Arsenal, and then when like all these people are saying that they just want Arsenal to win this title because they just don't want to see City win again, and then also they mention a little bit those charges, it's like it's so clear that they just don't like this team, and it's impossible to hide it. And if those people who are like, let's say, business people, ex-players and officials maybe, and people who are in this sort of like football kitchen, if they're openly have this opinion, and they're like kind of like not just keeping this opinion to themselves, but they airing it out to the public, like what type of it says it all, I guess. Like City are just being there, and they're kind of like, with all this money, they're just fighting not on all fronts, but they're like kind of like they have this maybe chip on their shoulder or something, like, because they're just like they are not liked. I don't know how to explain this in better terms, but I mean, when the league doesn't like the club that is like successful there and represents the league, but it is not liked by the league and it's charged by the league, it's just like, it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't look like it's performative, or it's like it looks like it's actually like they don't like each other. Like, and the owner of Manchester City, I don't think he likes these officials, Premier League officials, etc. So every time like people will be mentioning the trebles and all this stuff, Manchester City trebles, every time they're going to do this, people will say, well, you know what, but they bought it all. Or like, you know what, let's count how much they spend on players and stuff. So it will be just always there. Unfortunately, in my opinion, when Abramovich, for example, was at Chelsea, I don't think he was spending that same amount of money, but obviously he was competent, right? I would say Manchester City ownership group is also competent at what they do, because they were able to bring club to the success, and they're almost able to rebuild. If you think about it, what they were trying to do this season, they were trying to do the rebuild in the middle of the season, basically, and they almost succeeded, and they were so close to the title, but obviously they needed more time to kind of like accumulate these new players and to like gel and to just gain this kind of like mentality, maybe, like, I don't know, to put these players up to speed, like, you know, the new players. But anyway, so I don't know, is it like a story that is like you hate on success regardless? Maybe, because when Manchester United were successful, right, there was an issue there also, like, but it was the issue with like I don't know what was the issue with, just people didn't like Man United because they were like because of Ferguson, because etc., because they were winning too much. Like, maybe it's just about that. Like, maybe it's the situation that it's like you have someone who's successful consecutively, and people and even officials start hating because they're just like they're too successful, like know your place type shit. So maybe this is the case. I'm not really sure. Personally, I'm not really invested too much into this whole like Manchester City lore and their whole like ethos. I mean, they were the noisy neighbors, like, etc. Now they're like just the neighbors, and they were more successful than Manchester United. But Manchester United is the club that I support, and I think it's more cultured club. I think it's more popular club, and it just means more to people. Manchester United means more to people. We're not comparing them, obviously, but I just wanted to point out that one thing that I kind of felt. I couldn't not feel it when I was watching the Pep speech. And when I was also watching Carrick's speech, which was very short, but it was about the fans. When Carrick was speaking into the microphone after the game, he just repeated Casemiro's take, and he just said like, it's all about the fans, like it's all about the people who are like on the stands supporting us, and you guys are the club. Basically, that's what both of them said, and it was so true, and it was also like emotional, and it was just beautiful, you know, because the fans, they just were, obviously they love Casemiro. We all love Casemiro because he made us love him, basically, because he showed his dedication, he showed his professionalism, and he showed his resilience and desire to work. And he deserved his success because he was able to humble himself and improve still at his status, at his stage in his career. He was still able to learn something and to improve his game, which is wow. It takes a real sort of champion. It takes a real athlete. Psychologically, you have to be like a winner to be able to do something like this. And this guy basically said in his speech that it's all about you fans. And then you watch Pep's speech, and the first thing that he's mentioning like is like, thank you to the sheikh, thank you to the owners. And of course he mentioned something to about the fans also, and the fans were singing also. But just the fact that he needs sort of like to mention the ownership, he needs to bring them into this picture because they are part of this project. They are the reason why Manchester United is Manchester City are where they are. Maybe it was a Freudian slip, because obviously there are some people who are very displeased with the Manchester United ownership and lack of success in past years. It is linked to this ownership, so whatever. Maybe it was a Freudian slip. But Manchester City, yeah, it's like I don't understand like why you need to mention like the sheikh when you are saying like thank you to the fans for these 10 years that you spent at the club. You won trophies, but still you have to mention like people who gave you money, who gave you players. It's like it's also sheikh made a decision to name a stand after Pep Guardiola, and it's like I don't know if it's necessary to insert the names of the owners and the people who are the donors and the sponsors of the club into this. Like it just feels kind of, and he was not there also, like he was not there to speak or to say anything or to mention anything. So I don't get it. Like there's something about City that feels a little bit like ingenuine, and I just cannot not feel it. But of course I respect them as a competition, and I will never say that they didn't deserve any of their titles, because even before Pep, like they were winning, and they were winning against us, and they were winning not because like the league helped them or like the referees helped them or because like they bought something. They bought players, and they bought like competent structure, and they bought competent staff, and they were just spending money, but rightly so. And they were spending money sort of not just irresponsibly, but they knew who they wanted and who they needed. And this investment, it actually, they got a return on this investment, and they got the trophies. And the way they were winning, and I remember when they were playing against us, I remember even Yaya Touré times, they were playing against us, and you could feel like Company, when he was a captain, you could just feel that it's like, come on, they're good. It's like they're not scamming their way to the title. Arsenal, they're not scamming their way to the title through this boring, weird football and like this kind of split decisions, but they actually dominated on the pitch, and that's the reason why they showed champion form, and they won titles. That, in my opinion. So in this case, in this aspect, I absolutely respect City and what they're done, but there will be something like always weird about them, like in this kind of like for me specifically, it's not about the money necessarily, or about their ownership, or about the ideas that they trying to like install and kind of like project onto everything else. I think it's just about the fact that like there's, like, for example, the fact that they cannot even like, sometimes they have gaps on the stands. You can see that there are like holes where there are no people like on the stand. Like, I cannot imagine ever Old Trafford being like, missing, like if it's not COVID or like pentavirus, whatever the hell it is. If it's not that, if it's not lockdown, there will be sold out stands and seats at Old Trafford, and in at the next stadium also, I'm sure, when it's going to be finished and built. So there are levels, and Manchester United doesn't even need to attract all those, like sign all those like sponsorship deals, like, and to have like everything, like, they have so many sponsors. City, they have so many sources of this money that and at this point you cannot even understand if it's like how to say, not money laundering, but the idea of those charges is that like it's just some bunch of Saudi people gave them money, and they kind of didn't declare it right in the way that they should have declared it, and in the protocol it was just basically almost like people giving club money, and it was not legit. So maybe that's why they are so like, they went into all those sponsorships, and they like, I don't know, selling washing machines outside their stadium or something like this. So it doesn't really matter, I guess. But the point I'm trying to make is that for me as a Manchester United fan, there is nothing appealing in Manchester City model, I would say, and in the way they do the business. But I will respect them as a competition, and I think they won their titles on the pitch. Of course, they prepared for this outside the pitch. They brought the players, the coaches, the staff. They built the structure and infrastructure, but they proved it on the pitch. Like the type of football that they played, it was a style of football that can win you convincingly, win you a trophy, in my opinion. Okay, so what else happened? England squad that was named, I kind of talked about it a little bit. What's going to happen? World Cup is ahead of us, right? So for Manchester United right now, we need to focus on transfers. Fans need to chill out just a little bit. Of course, they got to be locked in. And for example, if something goes a little bit wrong, you have to call it out. But at the same time, you cannot just be like super emotional and just crash out every day, all the time after any new link. No, just let's be chill. These people who are in charge of Manchester United transfer campaigns, they kind of proved themselves to be effective in previous windows. So it's logical to just assume that they will continue in the same, because they didn't change those people. There are still the same people in charge of transfers. So I think you have good signs that it will continue, and they will recruit good midfielders in this summer window, and then next season we gotta just go at it. This span of games that when Carrick was in charge, if you know, statistically we picked up the most points, and we are the champions basically in that. If we if we chop the season to just all to that time span of games, when Carrick came into the interim role and until the end of the season, we are the champions. So guys, we have, and with the players that we had, with the squad that we had, so if we upgrade the squad, if we bring quality midfield next season, I think, I'm not saying title charge, but go at it. We can confidently just go at it as Manchester United Football Club, and we should do that because the title is there for the taking next season. We already mentioned, like, Liverpool, they're gonna struggle. Chelsea, they will have to adapt. City, with new coach, maybe they will be able to implement, I don't know, and to regroup fast and perform. But still, there will be like something like new, so therefore shaky. So bomb. Chelsea, I don't think they're gonna be competing. Maybe there will be a miracle and Alonso will just put all the puzzles in place and everything will just, like, gel, and they will go for it and perform. Who knows, right? But then you can say the same thing about any other team, basically. Like Aston Villa, I think they're gonna be busy with Europe, right? Liverpool, are they going to Europe? I'm not sure. We kind of talked about them already. And Arsenal, they're just gonna do more of the same. But we beat Arsenal and we played better than them, even when Amorim was our coach and when we played trash football. So think about this. Next season, Manchester United, they have really good chance, in my opinion. Just go for it and just see where we're gonna land. Same time next year. It will be very interesting, in my opinion. And the World Cup will give us more joy, hopefully, more headlines, more memes, and we'll see what type of players will shine also. Maybe there will be new names. And some agents will do good business after the World Cup, and after the prices for players will increase. And also, personally, I'm going to be probably watching all Brazil games because I think I'm more familiar with their squad. I watched most of the players play in their clubs, and I just want to see what type of football they're going to play under Ancelotti, because Ancelotti is famously a coach that is just able to bring together players without necessarily controlling them too much or giving them kind of like, trying to implement his style of play or something like this. He just lets players play, and he just being there, like, just it's on my watch, but you just go at it. Like, that's how it feels with Ancelotti. So it will be interesting if he's going to be successful with this Brazil team and how far they will go. Favorites for the tournament, just check if its camera is still going. So favorites for the tournament, I think it's still France. Like, there is no surprise there. Spain, maybe, I'm not sure. I think they're kind of like not at their peak at the moment, but France, I think they are, and the amount of talent that they have, and just I think they can show you good game. They're good to watch. They also can win, and they already won before, so they have the same coach also. They're the more stable team out of the rest, and consecutively they show that they can achieve success. So I think I would say France are the favorites, and then we'll see what's going to happen. So it's going to be very interesting. Hopefully it's going to be a great World Cup, despite the controversy, despite all this stuff that's going on. Like, let's leave out politics. It is part of football, obviously, it's part of human lives, but to be able to talk about it, you just either got to be super like analytical and informed, or you got to have an agenda and you have to, like, etc. So that's not my point. I just wanted to yap about Manchester United. This is like yapping sessions, but about football and about Manchester United, but also about other stuff that's happening also. There was probably something on my list that I forgot to mention, but I think that's going to be a wrap up, and I'm going to edit this video definitely, and let's hope that it will be good quality of sound and video also, and let's hope that I covered all the topics. I'm gonna add also some pictures. There will be a blurry picture of Pep with trophy in trophy room. I think it will be very interesting for you guys to see this pixelated image of Pep with the trophies that he's won at Manchester City. So let's see how it's gonna go. The weather is getting better and it's more warm now, and I'm just gonna drink some hot tea and head back home to edit the video and post it. So that's the plan for today. So thank you for watching if you made it until the end, and let's see if we can keep this thing going, and I'll try to record when there's something interesting will be happening. Also, I will do videos on Reddit. Like, for example, I'm just gonna go on Reddit and I'm just gonna read out comments and just react to this stuff, because I think it's it's untapped territory, and it's like a platform that just keeps on giving. It just gives you reasons to crash out, to react, to I don't know, to make content. So I'm gonna do a video like this. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.